Right, so, new content in Marvels Avengers. It's not often that you get to hear those words, but, the game has been, trucking along at a decent pace when it comes to dropping content, because they had Tachyon Anomaly, which was fine, more of the same, which, you can take it or leave it with that. You then have Ruskaya Protocols, which was not good. It wasn't great in any way. But now we've got Red Room Takeover, which is finally something fresh and new. I'm going to get into some of the gripes that I have, because I do have problems with this. But overall, I'm happy that there's something put into the game that's not the same. Yes, it is kind of the same as Harm Room, just, with red stuff and, more hazards to look out for. And it's slightly harder than Harm Room as well. But it is new enough to where I can safely say that it is a new piece of content, and it is enjoyable enough where I can say that it's a good piece of content. It's not like Ruskaya, where you're going to be doing the same thing over and over again. It's not like Tachyon, where it's like it's the same as what you've already done. It's just got a new coat of paint over it. Or, well, it is kind of that, but it's more along the lines of, like, this is just an extension on the Harm Room, and it's giving you something to do with the Harm Room that's interesting and that's fun and that's different than what you've been doing before. And it's different levels, and it's a different environment, so that's something. Before I go any further, I do want to remind you guys that I do stream on Twitch every day. I've been playing through the Red Room Takeover on my Twitch channel for the last few days since it came out. I'm actually done with all the challenges now, and I've started doing all of the other little bits, the other mission chains, and yeah, the rewards are cool. The rewards are fine. I think the exotic is the only thing I'm really gunning for, but the problem with this is it does lock you into, there is a certain mission chain that locks you into Black Widow, and because of champion points that came out on Tuesday, if Black Widow's your main, this is going to be fine. It does seem like this piece of content, the Red Room Takeover, was built to be played with Black Widow with. That's why it kind of got you to play as Black Widow and build Black Widow up during the Ruskaya Protocols, because this event is kind of themed to be played with Black Widow. But also, if Black Widow isn't your main and you aren't focused on grinding champion points for Black Widow, then there's an inherent problem there, that it's not forcing people into going that way, but to get the rewards from the mission chain where you have to defeat a certain amount of enemies while invisible, it does lock you into playing as Black Widow for a little bit, and that takes you away from playing as your main and grinding them up and getting the champion points for them, which is either a big gripe or a small gripe depending on how you look at it. It's just, you're gonna have to play as Black Widow for one fight of this, and you're missing out on maybe 100 XP at one point. It's not that big of a deal for me, but it is kind of like, I don't want to be locked into playing as, I've got to play as a certain character to get this done. I want to be like, I can get this done as any character, and I want to get Hawkeye built, who is my main. I want to get Hawkeye built for when OLTs come out, which could be next week, it could be next month. It could be whenever. And, we've got no real defined date for when the first OLT will come out. It's just, you've got all this, and you've got all this stuff to grind, and it's kind of giving you a lot of XP, and, champion points, and boosts, and buffs, and it's giving you the consumables as well, and it's like, there's got to be something, there's got to be a reason for why this is happening. And maybe that's going to be because OLTs come out as soon as Red Room Takeover is over, or is done. If that is the case, awesome, amazing. I don't think that will be the case. It seems very soon. And also, we've got the new villain sector next month. We've got the Cosmic Cube stuff, which I'm hoping is big. I'm hoping that's kind of a big area, like a big, kind of mini operation, kind of like the iconic missions where it kind of ends with a big boss fight at the end, and it can be the iconic mission for both Kate Bishop and Clint. It can be the iconic mission for both of those characters, and it can kind of expand on the story, because obviously that is going to be something that's going to have cutscenes and story relevance, because it's the end of this AIM arc, and it's going to lead into what's going on in Wakanda, what's going on with all the Black Panther stuff and all that. So I'm excited for what that is. Back to Red Room, I'm going to talk about some of the things I didn't enjoy, because the good stuff is new environment, it's something new to play, and it's going to take a few hours at most, and it's challenging content as well. Maybe it's not challenging for the sake of it introduces new enemies. It doesn't. You won't be getting new enemies with this. Enemies won't be having a red glow. There's no Yelena fight, which is something that I know a lot of people, including myself, are a bit miffed by. The lack of Yelena when this is a whole Black Widow centric event. Maybe they're planning to do something big with Yelena later on, but my question is what? What are you planning with Yelena later on that is going to be that you're going to be able to pay this off with? This is the setup, but what is the payoff? Is the payoff coming after Black Panther with maybe a raid where you fight Red Guardian and Yelena at the end, and maybe Taskmaster, because they love to throw Taskmaster into everything, and Taskmaster's going to be in the Black Widow movie, so it makes sense. Plus you already have a fight with him in the game. Just make a scaled up version of that fight, maybe give him a few more moves, give him an insta-kill move as well, and then you've got your Black Widow themed raid, ready to go for when the movie is out, and people can enjoy it and watch it, and I'm hoping for stuff like that. I hope that's what they end up doing, but I don't think they will do a raid. I don't think they're going to do anything big and fancy. If anything, we're just going to get a Yelena villain sector later on, or maybe a Yelena OLT more in the style of the Super Adaptoid one that's coming out, where it is just basically a villain sector, but it's scaled up to be really hard. I don't mind that. I wouldn't mind that. But I would prefer a raid style experience with your Red Guardians, your Taskmasters, and maybe a Grim Reaper, maybe Batroc the Leaper, I guess. Someone that's Black Widow centric. I don't know many characters that are Black Widow centric. I don't know much about Black Widow in the comics outside of her movie appearances and her appearances in other titles. I know she's had dealings with Bullseye, but I don't think Bullseye and Yelena team up, and also Bullseye is someone that I would save for Daredevil. But yeah, I'm. That's one of the things that's kind of annoyed me. The length. Again, this is lasting for 11 days. This is lasting till the end of the month, and it's something that you can get done in a few hours. It's fun content, so you're going to want to replay it, and you have to replay it to do the mission chains. Like, one of the mission chains is literally just complete challenge 3 times, which is fine, but each challenge, like, if you do them perfectly with no deaths, it takes about 10 minutes, and there's 5 of them, so that's about 50 minutes. That's less than an hour this whole thing's going to take you if you don't die during any of them. So that's kind of annoying, but it's honestly, that's fine. I don't mind that. The only problem with it being short content now is that there's not a lot else to do. Otherwise, this is kind of a grindy thing that you're going to want to grind for the whole 10 days or 11 days to get it done. But that being said, by the 31st, is my opinion on this going to go from this is fun, exciting new content to, yeah, I'm bored of this, I'm sick of this now, I'm going to go play Destiny. Is that going to be my opinion in 10 days? Or in 8 days now? Probably. I'm probably going to get sick of this, and I'm probably going to want to play something else. But as of right now, as a thing to get me playing Avengers again, is it better than Tachyon and Ruskaya Protocols? 110%, because it's something to play. It's something new to play. Is there things that I would have done differently? Sure. I would have had a story element to it. I would have had a cutscene or two, instead of just like this text bubbles underneath when you go into each mission. I don't like that. I think that's lazy. I think you could have gotten a voice actor for Yelena since Operation Hawkeye or Operation fucking Future Imperfect. I keep wanting to say Taking Aim, but that's Kate Bishop's one. So yeah, you could have found a Yelena voice actress. If not, just get the voice actress that's doing Black Widow to do a slightly different accent to kind of change her voice a bit, make herself sound more evil or more Russian, or more evil and Russian. But that's the part of this that makes it seem very lackluster. It's the fact that they're saying that this is something that will have a story behind it, but the story is just text. It's just Yelena's like, I hacked the harm room, go fight my robots, I may or may not threaten the rest of the Avengers to get to you, and it's like, oh yeah, what are you gonna do against the Hulk? What is Yelena Belova gonna do against the Hulk? I don't know. And yeah, I would have really liked a Yelena fight at the end of this, but if they do pull something out of the bag later on, say in like September or November, bring out like a fucking awesome villain sector or an awesome raid with Yelena, Red Guardian, Taskmaster, Grim Reaper, anyone that hasn't appeared in the main story that is like a ground street level villain, could end up being a really cool raid for this. I will be doing a video on like top 5 raids I want to see in the game. I think that'll be really interesting, because I did talk about on stream, another quick plug for my stream, I did talk about a couple raids that I wanted to see appear in the game. I talked about the Cube, I talked about Red Room, I talked about Yggdrasil as well. I think I'd rather visit the 9 realms all in one raid than have a raid for each, because that's so much Thor. But yeah, I really want there to be payoff to this. I really want there to be story to this, and hopefully, like, after the pandemic's over and when they can actually go and put a lot of time and effort into this storyline, because it looks like they want to do something with this. It looks like they wouldn't have put this in the game if they were just like, oh yeah, we'll do it. It'll be a one and done thing. We'll put minimum effort into it. No, I think this is just the start of a story arc that's going to last a few months at least. It's either going to be tied up in a villain sector or in a raid, or it's going to go into an operation, and we're going to have like maybe the Mockingbird operation that's going to have Yelena at the end of it. Probably. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I can only like put in my own suggestions into what they could do, and I think either have Yelena in an operation, have Yelena in a villain sector, have Yelena in a raid. That would probably be the best option. I think just put her in the game in some feasible fashion where you fight her. I would even be happy if it was like a Abomination Hulk thing where the Yelena boss was like a clone of Black Widow. That's the worst case scenario. The worst case scenario is she's not in the game at all, but that's like the minimum effort that you would have to put in, and people would probably be happy with that. Well, people would have been happy with that if it was the end of this, but people would be happy with the Yelena fight that's like a skin of Black Widow, because people are fine with a Maestro fight that's a skin of Hulk, and people are fine with an Abomination fight that's a skin of Hulk. People are fine with a Taskmaster fight that's a skin of Captain America. It's not the boss fights being like reskins of your characters that's the problem. It's the lack of bosses that's the problem, and they need to put more villains in the game, and more villains for different characters. This is an Avengers game. It's not a Hulk game. It's not a Captain America game. It's not a Black Widow game. It's an Avengers game. Put in characters that fight all of the Avengers. So yeah, that's me. I'm gonna end it off here actually, and I'll see you guys in the next video, which will hopefully be tomorrow. If not tomorrow, but Monday. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.